At the shop today, I'm going to pull the 6.0 out of the truck. It's had low oil pressure for a very long time. A couple rockers were loose, which makes me think it might be a collapsed lifter due to the low oil pressure. Either way, I got to figure out why it has low oil pressure. There's been cam bearing material in the oil, so potentially cam bearings failed. I mean, it got down to like 8 to 12 psi at hot idle, so pretty low. So I don't think I'd be too surprised if something was up because of the low oil pressure. But the plan is to pull that engine out, hopefully figure out why I had a low oil pressure, put in the other Gen 4 6.0 that I have, go ahead and put the sloppy stage 2 cam in it, put the head studs in it, and get it ready for when I put the turbo kit on. But I think it'll still make decent power on that setup to start off the year. But I don't think there's much use in running this thing with low oil pressure and hurting it even more, because this will be a good backup engine if I want to put rods and pistons in it or something like that. So that's the plan. Hopefully figure out the ticking noise, which appears to be potentially a lifter issue, and then get that other engine ready to start off racing probably the next month or so. It's middle of February now, but we're going to get to work and see what we can get done. You can see this is the issue I'm having. This is torqued down to 22 foot-pounds. It's tight. So it makes me think that the push rod is lower down than what it's supposed to be here, because that space is on top of the push rod. Got a little bit here, not as much. So like I said, my guess is the push rod or the lifter is collapsed or something along that nature. But having typically between 10 and 20 psi of oil pressure when it gets warm, that's just not enough. So something's up. I'd like to pull it apart, see what's wrong with it. Alright, quick little update. Probably was a time lapse up to this point, getting the engine out, getting the heads off, and I think I found a couple collapsed lifters. It don't seem like it's really extreme, but I don't think you're supposed to be able to have any movement on that, so I think the springs in the lifters are compromised, collapsed, however you want to call it. I'm just glad to maybe find something that show what the ticking noise is from. Now I think I will tear down, pull the oil pan off, and then potentially find something in the pickup or the failed cam bearings, because I have been having metal after each oil change. So I think the cam bearings are shot. That's probably potentially what caused the low oil pressure. If I can find pretty definite why it had low oil pressure, I'll be pretty happy. I think so far the rest of things pretty good. I wanted to pull it out and do this before it was ruined. I think going forward it could get new bearings and potentially make this a rod and piston motor as a backup, because I've got my 6.0 over there, which I will put these heads on with my head studs, and it'll be a 6.0 SBE for the turbo setup until I can afford to potentially build this one up or that one. It'd be nice to have this one built up and ready when that one might want to let go. So that's the plan. I will let you know more that I find that might have been wrong with this, but like I said, I think a couple lifters that are collapsed, compromised, and then hopefully we'll find out why it got low oil pressure in the first place. We're here with Joey, the expert on LS engines.
Yeah, sure.
And he looked down in here. Here, you can give it some light. Try some light.
Give me some light.
I don't know if you're able to see this, but off to the left of this lifter hole, there's a piece there to the left that just spun a second ago and is not spinning now.
We believe is the cam bearing.
It's impressive you saw that. I've like scanned across this.
Yep.
Alright, now it's not spinning. Well, we did see it spin at least once. Alright, at least we're finding something. We're going to dig a little deeper. Alright, I'm starting to assemble the other 6.0 that I have. I'm putting in the cam today, hopefully getting a few of the gaskets on, hopefully get the front and rear cover on, and get the oil pan. If I can get to putting the cylinder heads on today, I will, with the new ARP studs. The cam I got is the Sloppy Stage 2, I believe it's 1840p. We're going to put that in there and see if hopefully the next couple of days get the engine back in the truck. Oh, and I also got a new milling oil pump. It's a high pressure, high volume pump. I put the spring in it that came in the pump already. I think that's a little bit higher pressure spring. The volume's greatly increased in this. Hopefully we don't have any oil pressure issues like I did in the other engine, but we'll see what happens. Alright, we're back in the shop. I don't remember the last time I made a video. Oil pan's on, new rear cover, new front cover gasket, new rear main seal, balancer's on. Joey's here. Right now he's chasing threads with a custom chaser. He put a little groove in some of the old bolts, and as you can see, it's pulling out all that junk. He's cleaning it off after each pass, pulling out the junk, and then we'll be able to put in the head studs, which I've seen head studs done before, but we have not done them before, so we're learning. Just pulled the S10 back in the shop, get it ready to put the engine back in. The new 6.0 is put together. I think the last time I showed a video, me and Joey were putting the heads on, getting the head studs torqued down. The last thing on the engine is I'm waiting on a balancer bolt, and then have to put the valve covers back on, rocker assembly, but other than that, everything's ready to go back in. And then the plan is to maybe test the middle of this week at Muncie, make sure the engine's doing good, go through the suspension because I got the new mod shocks on there. We'll see what it will do. Hopefully today's the day to get the S10 running again. There's a race on Saturday at the airport I'd like to race in. Today's Thursday. So hopefully we can get this thing fired up. It's got oil pressure. Hopefully there's no leaks. Hopefully there's nothing wrong with it and it runs good. So that tomorrow I can hopefully make just a couple test hits out here, see if everything's going to work. Switch to a fresher set of tires and then be ready. But like I said, hasn't ran yet. Don't know what it's going to do. The setup's pretty much the same except for the throttle body and the intake. Everything else pretty much the same. It's a different cam. I guess, I mean, it's got flat top pistons instead of the fly cut ones that were in there, or the ones with valve relief. So this engine's just a little bit different, but the combinations is very similar. It's the sloppy stage 2 cam instead of the BTR stage 3. Low Dollar Motorsports, I placed an order just a couple days ago, got the map sensor adapter because this intake does not fit the same type of map sensor that was in that plastic LS2 intake. So I got those parts that we need to fire it up, and then should be good to go. I think I gotta get into Holly to change that map sensor, let it know what it is, and then this thing should run. I picked up oil, picked up coolant, and we should be good to go after that. So like I said, this map sensor that I got is more of a round pin type connector, and the stock one is a connector like this, which comes factory on like the stock intake like I had. So that's all it's changing, is to go from this type of plug to this type of plug. And then I picked up this little push fit adapter as well from Low Dollar, so I don't need to use a vacuum block. I'm going to get one, but this is just a push lock fitting to the intake, and thread the sensor into that, and then we'll have a map sensor. I changed the map sensor settings in the tune, got the new tune uploaded. That was the only changes I was going to make. With the new throttle body, new intake, it might be a little different in the fueling and how it runs. I think there's a decent amount of fuel comp on it, so it should run. But I might have to smooth that out when we get to the race Saturday, when somebody can help me a little more with the fuel. But other than that, I think I'll fire it up. Hopefully there's no leaks. Everything sounds good. And then hopefully we can test tomorrow. We'll see what it does. Spent oil from somewhere though. That's not good. Where would that oil be coming from? I don't know. There's oil coming out somewhere. not looking good so far. It's puffing a lot of smoke out of this valve cover, and I can feel pressure on it. If it was just a little bit of vapor, I don't think I'd worry about it, but I feel like it's making some noise, and with that smoke coming out, I don't know. Might pull that valve cover off and maybe, rockers sticking, valve open. I don't know. I'll take the valve cover off and see if I can find anything. Friday morning, the race is tomorrow, and I think I'm going to put a 5.3 in here today if I can get it done. Basically needs to change the oil pan and the cam, and the rest of it we'll just send and hope it does well. Yeah, so it's about 8 o'clock Friday. We're going to pull this out, put the 5.3 in, hopefully make it test it tonight, race tomorrow. Alright, the engine's out. It's time to put the oil pan, flex plate, balancer, and camshaft on the other engine, and then we'll put it in. Alright, a few hours later, Jake's here. He was a big help getting this done, and it's still daylight. We're not completely done, but it should run now, and it's still daylight, so pretty much just the cam, intake, and oil pan is everything that came off the other one. The rest of it's the 5.3. We'll see if it fires up. It's been sitting for about 3 years under the workbench, but hopefully it works, because I'm not doing this again the first time.
Ooh, I saw fire.
After about 8 hours of pulling the engine out, switching some parts to the other engine, getting this engine in, getting it running, I think we're going to make the race tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds out. The weather is kind of so-so in the rain. Looks like it's going to be early, but the airport might still be wet. So hopefully that works out. Everything here seems to have gone together nicely. Really thankful Jake could make it out for a couple hours, really probably 3 or 4 hours, to help me get this thing back together, because I just want to make the race tomorrow. And it's not exactly the combo that I want. It's a 5.3 with 862 heads, and I put that sloppy stage 2 cam in there, but everything else is pretty much stock. It's a Gen 3 5.3, so we'll see what it does. Actually probably slightly better compression, because the cylinder heads, these have actually been milled just enough, because I think they were warped when I built this engine, well, rebuilt, whatever, put it together a few years ago. So that, and it's about 61 cc chambers instead of 64 on the 243, so slightly better compression, 5.3 instead of the 6.0, but we'll see what it does. I've got the mod shocks on here, which hopefully will have a little bit better valving than the QA ones I had on before, because most of the videos up to now, the front suspension tops out and you can watch the rear tires stand up because it's lost traction. So I can buy the tighter valve packs for the 281 mod shocks, but I haven't done that yet. So far, these seem to be a little bit tighter than what those were. So hopefully, if that compression is a little bit tighter, it can keep the front end up and keep the rear tire planted. When I get the turbos on, which will happen eventually, it'll make enough power that it shouldn't make a lot of difference. But with about 310, 330 horsepower, it doesn't have a lot to keep driving the tire as it rolls out. So yeah, that's that. I didn't film a whole lot today just because we've been busy trying to get this back together, but hopefully it's a little something in there to see what we did. Now I've got to clean up. I want to load the trailer up tonight and be ready to roll out in the morning, and we'll see how this thing does. It'll be the first time really it's done anything this year, so we'll get out there and see what it does.